Micro brews, dude.
Dude. Craft brews and casual conversations. Joined with me, guitar player, singer, punk rock aficionado, Jon Lewis from the band The Dopamines. How's it going, man?
It's going. You're too nice. It's going.
I-
Drinking. A little sweaty. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm a little sweaty as well. I've had a long last couple of days. Now you got the bush light. You were just talking a little bit off mic about the corn cob cans. So we're fellow Midwesterners. Corn is very abundant in our areas.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It's just because it's funny. Like Bush does like a camo can every year and some
Yeah.
other bullshit. So then I saw one last year when I saw their first, maybe it was one of the first iterations of the corn can. I was like, well, that's got to be mine just because it looks different.
Right. Now I got you've been to Wisconsin a handful of times. I know that. So I have the Badger State Brewski, which is kind of just your plain Jane lager. It's pretty solid though. Like it's a good.
Yeah. What brewery is that?
Badger State. That's in Green Bay.
I don't think I've had Badger State. I think maybe it was before the craft beer boom, or before I got into craft beer or any breweries. That can looks sick.
Yeah, based on the Wisconsin license plate. It's a beautiful.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Beautiful
I love
thing.
Wisconsin.
Yeah, me too. It's a good place.
Oh yeah.
And you're coming to Wisconsin in a couple of days. You're going to be playing with Direct Hit, Jeff Palmer, Chinese Telephone, and another band, but I don't know off the top of my head what it is.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that show. It's going to be an awesome time. Like we haven't, I don't think we've played in Wisconsin in a while, and I think we were on the bill early on, and then I had something going on, so we had to drop off, and then we were back on again. So I'm stoked to be going back to Wisconsin. It's been a while.
The last time I saw the Dopamines and the first time I saw the Dopamines, it was one of the final shows that were going down at the Frequency in Madison.
Oh hell yeah!
And that was a long time ago.
It was a very long time ago.
He played with Fun Rod, and I forget what some of the other bands.
Yeah, we played the Frequency. I don't want to say it was Masked Intruder's first show, but I think it was Masked Intruder's first show.
Yeah, it could have been.
Yeah, and Bradford worked across the street at Wolf's.
Yeah.
And that night I got, well, we always get kind of blasted every night, but we went over there the first time I ever went over to Wolf's, and the first time I ever met Bradford, and didn't know that he was like he knew them because I didn't know him at the time. And he was like, yeah, I know those guys over there. And yeah. And then he was working behind the bar, and I think he was wearing like just a jock strap. So I bought one because you could buy them there. And then they did this thing where they had, I don't know how many times you've been there. I'm assuming you've drank there at least once or
for sure.
half a dozen times.
Yeah.
But they had this like clothesline above the bar, and it had a bunch of underwear on it. And I was like, what's that about? And he was like, oh, if you get cut off at the bar, we cut your underwear off, and then you have to leave without your underwear. So we did it. I got cut off. Like I wasn't being ornery or anything. I was like, can I have that happen to me? So they cut it off, and then I had nothing on. I was walking around naked, and then bought a jock strap. It was a Gryffindor colors jock strap.
Oh, hell
that I wore for the rest of the night.
Yeah, it was a good spot. It's unfortunate that it went down and it's gone, but you're gonna be playing at high noon. Like I said, I never heard of Jeff Palmer before the show. I've been listening to him a lot though this week. He's pretty solid. It's got like some old school feel to it. I like it.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I like it, and we're somewhat acquainted. I think our paths have crossed over the years, I believe, if I remember correctly. But yeah. And fucking stoked. The bill's pretty fucking stacked. I'm stoked. It's been a while since I've seen the Chinese Telephones live too. So
yeah,
they're one of my all-time faves.
And I love Direct Hit very much. Which,
oh my god, of course. Yeah, like I always knew about Direct Hit, and I know they existed. And Cincinnati band mixtapes, they were really close with Direct Hit. Yeah, they did that split together and covered each other's songs. I always know they existed, but then it wasn't until it was Crown of Nothing, I think. When that came out, I was like, holy shit. Like, yeah, it's such a good fucking record. That record just really struck a chord with me. So I'm like always stoked to see them. We played with them in Baltimore, but I was a piece of shit, and I bailed right when we got to the show in Baltimore because Kerry King and Municipal Waste were playing down the street.
Nice.
So I was like, hey, it's good to see everyone. I'll see you when it's time for me to play because I'm going to watch this metal show.
Yeah, you got to do that every once in a while.
Yeah.
But Speaking of great albums, 80/20 has been on a solid rotation for me since it's came out. I love it. I really think it has everything you need when it comes to an album. I run to it a lot. I'll throw it on when I'm running, and it helps me maintain a pace. So who did you know you would be inspiring people to run fast?
No, I wish it. Thank you, first off, but no, I wish it would inspire me to run because I hate exercising, and now is the time of my life where exercise is key to maintaining status quo. I'm not
Yeah,
like I'm not gross yet, but I'm creeping up on it, so I should probably get something. That's all. Thank you, though. Thank you. Yeah, that record was so fun to write and record. It was
yeah,
kind of a pretty unique experience from all of our other records, just in general. So yeah, it was awesome.
right. And it came out like 7 years after Tales of Interest. So like, were those a lot of songs that you were working on, gradually, or was it kind of something that you got in writing mode and here they are?
Yeah, it's a little bit of both. So I think when Tales of Interest was done, I already had, I think the title track, no, not the title track, the first track on 80/20 was already written, but it had like a skate punk beat. So it
Oh,
naturally was
nice.
like something that's like, not now. Like we're not going to, nothing wrong with skate beat. We just don't really ever do it. But that one kind of got put in the trash temporarily. And then there was a song Groundhog Day Parade that we did for a comp for Josh for Rad Girlfriends, like an anniversary
Hmm.
release. I think it was like their 100th or something. I think that's what it was. And those two songs were kind of already there. And then honestly, everything else, we recorded that in 2023, in July of 2023. I'd say most of the songs have been written like before COVID.
Okay.
So it's kind of both. But once after COVID was done and after some other shit, like um, everything else just kind of came together quickly. Once there was enough, once we kind of crested over that mountain of like, all right, we have more than half of this. More than half of this record is done. Then everything just kind of snowballed from there. But yeah, even yeah, I'd been writing songs since 2016. I think I'd say there was at least four that were already done, like that were just kind of sitting there marinating until
Yeah.
we got out of our got off our asses and then got in the studio.
Life happens, man. It's pretty busy. You had a pretty interesting Instagram post about the inspiration behind The Doctor, which I
Yeah.
thought was like super cool. So you're like watching oh, you can explain it, like Bob's Burgers, and you just had the inspiration. Did you like have to write it down right away, or did you
No,
sleep on it?
that whole song's got all kinds of weird stories because the content of the song has a really long, crazy fucking story. But the music, yeah, and this kind of goes just in general. Like if I'm listening to something and something like catches me off guard, a lot of times it's like all of a sudden I'm like emotionally hit by something,
Hmm.
just music wise. It's some chords in a certain order, the way it's presented. And yeah, in that case, I was just laying in bed and watching Bob's Burgers, and that episode's I can't remember what the episode's called, but the song is Sky Kiss. And their Bob's Burgers is fucking. They got always have good music compositions, original songs in that show. But that one, I was like, oh my god, it's like super shoegazy and shit.
Hmm.
And the song's really good, like catchy. If you didn't know it was a Bob's Burger song and the lyrics were a little more serious, like it could just pass as anything, off the street. So yeah, I was just laying in bed, but when I hear something like that, it just kind of sticks. Like that was one that I didn't have to like remind myself of. I think maybe the next day it was that, and there was a couple other songs that really directly inspired it. But I didn't really have to write anything down. Like words and lyrics that came later, but the music, I was like, okay, I know what I want this song to be. I want it to be simple with like just centered around this little shoegazy 2 note part. But there's two other songs that really inspired it too, at least to keeping it simple musically, and it was the Teddy Bears song "Punk Rocker" that Iggy Pop does. I don't know if you're familiar with that song.
Hmm.
That Iggy Pop is a guest, does a guest vocals on, and then there's a Bloodhound Gang song called "All Together
Nice.
Ookie," and that, like, if you listen to those three songs and then listen to the Doctor, you could see musically like exactly what it was inspired from. Those three songs kind of pushed together, and our own like our own dumb little version of trying to craft a song like that musically. But God, yeah, that song. I'll still get a little misty when that song comes on because I made a playlist. I did it for the last record too, where just fresh in my memory, I keep a personal playlist. Anytime something inspires me, I throw it on my own personal playlist. And, while writing and, with writer's block or something, I'll just listen to this playlist. Like these songs meant something or like triggered something in me. And it'll kind of, trigger inspiration. But I take that playlist at the end and I'm like, I'll kind of organize it in a way where there's a dopamine song, and then after it is any song that potentially inspired it.
Nice.
And some of it's obvious and some of it isn't. But I don't know. I like that. I like it when bands do that, talk about their influences and shit. So
Yeah, I think so too. And if anything, it introduces people to new songs and new types of music. Like shoegaze is a genre that I've heard only about relatively recently. I watched some video about some guy who's like got a massive octave range, and he's like, I'm in a shoegaze band, and I was like, what the fuck is that?
yeah.
So then like, I examined that a little bit, and it's pretty interesting. It's pretty chill. That's what I like. I like
Yeah,
the
I
vibes.
do, and I've never really I've never really sunk my teeth into shoegaze. I feel like for the most part, I'd be like, this is boring. Like that's where my gut would go. But there are shoegaze elements to a lot of stuff that I really love. That when I'm like, oh, I just like the way the composition of this, and someone's like, yeah, it's real shoegazy, and I'm like, oh, that's what that is. Like
Hmm.
Torch is a perfect example. Torch has some shoegazy shit. I don't know if you fuck with them, but they're one of
I
my
feel like
favorite
I've heard
bands
of
of all
them.
time.
I'll have to check them out. I've been listening. I don't know what's going on with me. I've been listening to some like sad boy shit lately.
That's
Uh,
fair. Torch is good. Listen to Torch's last record. That's real fucking. I'd say it's pretty. It's a pretty emotional, musically and lyrically.
Nice.
It's fucking great. It was their last record. They broke up after that.
Oh, that's too
Um,
bad.
They've been around for a while, and one of the only bands in my life that I had not been mad that I missed one of their final shows because I've seen them so many fucking times. Like I've gone out of my way to make sure. Once I fell in love with them, and they had already been around for a very long time, I took advantage. I took full advantage of being able to see them when I could. I never, yeah. So they're one of those bands that I had my fill of all the way up until they were done.
Hell yeah, man! You got to do that too, because you never know. You never know when it could be the end for any bands out
Trust
there.
me, there's so many bands I missed out on because I was lazy and
Yeah,
when given the opportunity to go see them.
I hear that, dude. And just life happens, and you get busy as well. Do you have kids or anything like that?
I have a kid. He's 12. His name's
Okay.
Ollie. I don't. He
Nice.
might be up. His room's on the other side of this wall, so
Oh, gotcha.
I don't know if he's listening to me swearing and drinking Busch Light.
Yeah, I have an 11. So I have a 16, 11, and 3. We got quite
Wow.
the gambit.
Yeah, you have all versions of humanity, like
Yeah,
youthful
really do.
humanity in your household.
It's wild. So is it tough going on the road then and kind of putting your life on pause, or do you kind of
Well,
just it's part of the gig? Or
I think it's we don't do a whole lot as it is, so it's not really that big of a deal. I travel for work, from time to time, so it's not weird for me to be gone for maybe a week or so at a time. But the music is far and away secondary to family, so it's like not, my attitude when I leave is like, oh, thank God I get a break from all this shit. So like when I leave, it's always just like immediately I'm like, I miss you guys.
Yeah.
And like talking, trying to talk every day and stuff. I'm not really a good person at talking on. I'm not really good at talking on the phone. I don't really care for it, but like I immediately miss home. Like it's the second I'm gone. I certainly don't stop myself from having a good time, but
right.
while I'm out on the road. But no, it's not. It just kind of is what it is. It's just kind of always existed. I didn't actually get back out on the road a lot until Ollie was, I don't know, maybe there was a pretty big break between like for a while, especially through COVID. So yeah, but I'd say it's few and far in between. It happens less than it doesn't. So
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, I just know a couple of times. I've actually talked to Josh before on the podcast. A long
he's on
time.
the road all the time.
Yeah, he's a busy dude, and I remember his kid popped on for like a second when I was interviewing him, and it was just a little guy. I was like, yeah, it's crazy. Like most people, when you think, oh, you're talking to this dude from this band or whatever, they just think, oh yeah, he's living that rock and roll life, and I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think they are all the time.
Could not be further. I would say most of us in the band, if not all of us, I'm about as far away from rock and roll lifestyle as it gets, with some exceptions. I do like to drink a lot and hang out and party, but
Yeah,
I also, I party with my neighbors in the suburban neighborhood.
Hell yeah.
Like I don't, I'm not a bar fly anymore these days.
Nor am I. Nor am I. It's nice. It's nice to be in the comfort of your home or somewhere close where you can at least just take care of what you got to do.
Yeah, or like you know that a fight's probably not going to break out. And suburban neighborhoods can be a little zesty from time to time.
Yeah.
If you get the right amount of wine in someone. But
Oh yeah.
yeah, I like it. It's a nice change of pace. That's for sure.
Yeah. So when you're going into writing an album, so like 80/20, are you? And I know you've worked with Roger Lima in the past on past previous records. Do you let the producers make a lot of suggestions, or is it kind of like we've crafted this on our own time? We're in the studio now. We're gonna get these songs like as they are.
That's a great question because the answer is the short answer is we just come in and it's done.
Mhm.
There are, of course, times where you could do that take better. There's, suggestions here and there. I would say in the case of Roger, like, so Matt Yonker, who is now the drummer of Less Than Jake. I think when we first met, he was the merch guy for Less Than Jake, and then side stage, then front of house, then tour manager, then manager, now drummer. But he's done almost all of our material. He and Roger at the helm, Matt kind of do an assist on Expect the Worst,
Mhm.
and then but most of the time it's done. With Roger, he certainly had ideas to punch up what we were doing. Like compositionally, we didn't really make any changes in the studio. We're just not that band. Not that we're against it. We don't have a lot of money. We don't have a lot of time. Let's get our shit together, be prepared, and then these bells and whistles that come in on the back end are always just it's a plus for sure. And Roger was good at that. Like he would ride. Hold on. I just had the biggest burp.
Oh, good.
I just went on mute. So Roger was good at, like, we would leave, and we didn't know Roger that well at the time. He was just a guy we were excited to work with. So we were just excited at the opportunity. So we were just like these guys, kind of in awe of this dude who we've listened to for all these years. So we would record with him, and then studio time would be over, and then we'd leave, and then him and Matt would hang out, and other people there, his friends would maybe come over and party or whatever, or just hang out, smoke weed. But he would just come up with ideas, these suggestions of things that we could do. And we'd come in the studio the next day and he'd be like, hey, I was listening to this song over and over again. And part just kept popping up in my head. So I don't know, like something like this. And he'd play it. And I'd go, that sounds amazing. And then he's like, yeah, something like that. Like, I don't know what if that drums up anything for you. And I'm like, no, just leave that in there. Like, so we were like, no, this is good. Good. Thank you. Like, just leave it in. It's fine. So I would say that is probably that's the level at which following the lead of a producer. Now for 80/20, there was also moments of that. And in fact, Chris Dugan, who we recorded 80/20 with, I actually, had my first conversation over the phone with him, we slid into each other's DMs for a minute before we actually like sealed the deal on potentially working together. When I talked to him, I was like, I was speaking mostly for myself. I was like, me personally, I would like you to listen to all these demos and critique them and like make suggestions, compositional, like, commentary, criticisms, like help us craft these songs into, to make them better. Like we want someone who can elevate what we're doing. And he was basically like, I don't really do that. Like, no, I can't say no, but he was like, that's not really, I don't think that, I don't think that's his bread and butter necessarily, but he did, I didn't force him to do it, but I was like, look, man, and we didn't have the time to do that anyway, to be honest. We weren't in the studio for very long with him either, so there probably wasn't time to go through all that. But he did, like, I kind of maybe pushed him a little bit and like, hey, what do you like, dislike? And he did. There's a couple of changes. I would say only one song did he make a suggestion before we even hit the studio that we made a change to while practicing it, change the composition of a song. And then after the record was done, there was a few songs that just had moments that were there wasn't enough breath in between something, or there was something was happening, moving too fast, or there was a couple of things in a few songs where he just took the liberty of being like, look, I just fixed this, like there's something not right here, and I fixed it. And we never questioned it. We're all of us, me especially, super open criticism and feedback and making changes for the better, to make the song better. It's really all that matters, is making sure what's out there is like sending the message as efficiently and as well as we possibly can, given the genre that we're in and our ability to kind of execute it. So
Awesome. There's a song on, I think it's Vices, where it fades down and then
yes,
there's a little pause and it comes back up.
yes,
What
that's
happened
Dillinger
there?
4. So that was a homage to, I can't remember the Dillinger 4 song. It's on Versus God, and if you listen to
Okay.
the vinyl, it's there's like this part where it's like "Ba-na-na-na, picka, ba-na-na-na," and it just, that riff just happens over and over again, and then it fades out, and it's like this kids choir,
Yeah.
and then it, like, the kids choir fades, and then the riff comes back in with
Okay.
like a bunch of distorted vocals, like unintelligible vocals. So that literally was just the homage to that. We just played that riff at the end of that. I don't even remember what song it is on on Vices, where we just did that, and we were like, all right, on vinyl, we wanted to make sure that it fades out on the vinyl, and on the B side, it fades back in before it moves on
Oh,
to the next
okay.
song. So it was a vinyl thing, and it was one of the many nods to Dillinger 4 that we've done over the years.
Dillinger 4, great band.
Fuck yeah,
I've only seen them once at Ride
top
Fest
three.
a long time ago, but
I've seen them a lot. I've seen them play really well, and I've seen them play like shit. I've seen everything in between. They're such a good band, no matter what's going on stage. There's never a dull moment. We
yeah,
just played with them in Belgium, actually,
hell yeah.
and that was the first time I'd seen them in a very long time, and got to catch up with them and stuff. And they're just the nicest fucking guys on the planet.
Yeah, if you can get to a Dillinger 4 show, you got to go because they don't, it doesn't seem like
Mhm.
they don't really play it that often.
No,
So,
we like the, again, being inspired by Dillinger 4. We follow a similar.
yeah.
We have a similar approach. But
And that's all right. And if I've been listening a lot to, I've been listening to the Dopamines for quite some time. I think probably like a lot of people, I was first exposed to Public Domain first.
of course,
And I want to say, and it could be wrong, I want to say I saw it on that Steven's Untitled Rock show on Fuse back in the day. I don't,
yeah.
that's possible.
Yeah, there was a time, because when we were on Paper and Plastic, then I know Vinny had a lot of pull after he's like, exited Fuel by Ramen, or sold his part of Fuel by Ramen. When he started Paper and Plastic, he had a ton of pull. So I know he pushed a lot of the records at that time, and I know that you could go on to like a Comcast, like back when there was DVR and like on demand stuff. I mean, it's all on demand now, but um, you could go to like music videos, and like our video is on there.
Yeah.
And so Fuse sounds like it's a possibility.
Yeah. I watched it and I was like, this is awesome. That's how I discovered Against Me and a bunch of other bands too. So I owe it to that former music channel Fuse on a lot of my
Fuck yeah, I
musical
love
taste.
Fuse.
Yeah, it was the shit. But you go through your catalog, and in a way, every album is a little bit more of a progression to what you're at now. Like I can listen to it and be like, yes, this sounds like the Dopamines. This is a Dopamine song. But if you listen to a song, at least in my opinion, from Expect the Worst and then 80/20, there is a progression. There
for
is
sure.
a little bit of a change. What's like, I guess, your creative process with that? Are you you write the songs that from influences? Do you bring it to the guys, or do you is it like complete, or like how do you bring it all together?
Well, so in the last couple records, I think Vices was probably the last one where we spent a lot of time. That's when we were three piece. It was just John, Michael, and I. That was when we were like writing things together. In that I had an idea for a part, I had like a couple of riffs, or I had like a hook or a verse, and then we fleshed it out together. But for Tales of Interest and 80/20 Tales of Interest, John was super busy with his bar at the time, and just schedules. That's when schedules started to get nuts. Like I have a career. I had a career in architecture for
Oh wow.
a very long time. So like I was focused on that, and of course a family and stuff. Our son being born in 2012. So a lot of that stuff on the later records was just me sitting in this office or somewhere, wherever I lived, an apartment at the time, and just putting together full compositions, like programming the most basic drums I could, never really doing a bass track, and just kind of focusing on the composition of shit. So it's a mix. Like on 80/20, usually how it would go is there's usually one or two songs that musically, maybe 2 to 4 songs that are musically composed from scratch with all of us in a room. The rest of it is usually just me putting together ideas, whether they're complete ideas, fully done with vocals, lyrics, and everything, or somewhere in between. But as far as like the progression of from one record to the next, and to I agree with you that like if you listen to something 80/20 and you listen to something from the self-titled record,
Mm-hmm.
they sound so they that and when you listen to it that way, they sound pretty far apart. But like with each, to your again agreeing to your point that on each record it's just a little bit more from the last record. It's like I learned this new chord, or I listened to this new band, or I, like Expect the Worst, or was the perfect example. In between the self-titled and Expect the Worst, I was going to do this cover show on Halloween where me and a couple members of the Dopamines, a couple members of this band Team Stray from Cincinnati, we were covering the entire Blue album, the Weezer Blue
Oh,
album.
nice.
And I that's the only time in my life I've ever really given a shit about covering a band. I'm not like a covers guy, so
Mm-hmm.
I don't sit and play a lot of other people's material. But having to learning how Rivers, whoever the hell's writing the guitar parts, like the composition, the way the guitar is played, the way power chords are played, there is a way that it's done that I have clung on to ever since. Like everything I write from there forward, at least like some of the little technical parts come from that album, like that album specifically. It had a huge influence on at least compositionally of putting songs together ever since learning that record. But then after every record, all of a sudden I get into Torch. I started listening to a ton of metal and
Mm-hmm.
Taylor Swift, and I don't know, like fucking some hip hop and shit. Like it, I don't know, just each record there's some little thing that I want to throw in that just kind of drives the tone of an entire record.
You definitely like. I would say I see some like of the heavier aspects, especially on like Tales of Interest or eighty
Hell yeah.
twenty, which is awesome. Like I
It could
said,
have been way worse. I had to be talked out of a Michael. Michael and I were really synced in, and we worked on that record a lot together back then. And he talked me out of a pretty fair amount of metal parts.
oh really?
Yeah, those songs could have taken like way heavier turns than they already did.
Interesting. Yeah, that's awesome. Would you ever go like a full blown just like metal EP under like a different name or something?
Yeah, yeah. I always got like I have a hard drive that's got probably 50 or 60 songs total. I've tried a thrash project that I actually have a Pro Tools session file for that I have to finish.
Nice.
That there's like I did 5 thrash songs over during COVID. I have a Doom project that I've been doing since like pop. I would say like a Torch ripoff band because they're like a doomy but really poppy metal band. I had a project I started in like 2013 that I have probably 12 songs over between then and now. Every once in a while, I'll pull out a baritone guitar and just like write some weird shit. But yeah, like bubblegum pop punky shit. Like
Mm-hmm.
I got so much stuff. I always have kind of irons in the fire projects that never see the light of day, or things that fizzle out between friends or people around here. Like pulled, you're drunk and you're like, we should do this, and
Yeah.
then I put together 5 songs and we're like, oh, I was just drunk. I didn't mean that.
That's awesome. And it's kind of cool that so the latest albums have been released via Rad Girlfriends, which is Josh's record label,
Yeah.
who also plays in the band. Does that give you more freedom to experiment with things, or is it more just distribution? This is and it's kind
I
of
mean,
we own this stuff.
yeah, we're not one of those bands that like when we play punk rock for a small corner of the community of punk rock
Mm-hmm.
as a whole, I guess. And so it's not like anyone's worried about what we're making or would have anything to say about it or redirect based on I don't know, like label interest or something like that. But I mean it's just because Josh is in the band and he's willing to do it, and we trust him. Um, Certainly have had issues with trust in labels over the years. So I mean, he's there and he's eager to do it, and he has incentive to do to,
Yeah.
to put a lot into it from a label perspective because he's in the band. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
and his other band is really great too. Rage and Nathan's.
Yeah,
That
Nathan's
new,
are doing a ton of shit. They're always out on the road and putting
it's
out a
crazy.
ton of material, good records, and landing good tours and stuff right now. It's awesome.
Yeah, their latest album is really good. I just got done listening to it. So much music being released this year, which I love, but at the same time, it's like I gotta find time to consume it all and actually really give it a listen.
Yeah, I am so picky. I barely listen to anything, and then when something sneaks in, I obsess over it like big time.
Yeah, I kind of get like that too. I don't get a lot of time like unless I'm mowing my lawn or I'm driving like on a far commute or something is when I get to like actually consume a full album or something like that. So like I mean the new Pup record is really I was like I gotta listen. My first listen to I was like I don't like this, and then now that I'm on my third one I'm like okay I like this.
I
So
love Pup, and I
I
don't
love them
listen to them
too.
is because I was out of jealousy. Actually, when I saw, I think it was their first set at Fest, I was like, "Fuck!" We were playing the same venue, and they got off stage, and I can't remember the singer's name, but I cornered them, and I was like, "Oh my god, you guys are the death of the power chord." And it was like a joke, I mean everything in the nicest possible way, but I'm like, God damn it, they're really good, and it's like it makes it hard to listen to because I'm like, why can't I do that?
Yeah,
Like they're so fucking good.
they are
My wife
good.
and I were just talking about them the other day because we had a playlist on and it popped up. I think Reservoir popped up
Oh, I
because
love
why
that.
wouldn't it?
Right.
And that song is so fucking good, and that band is so fucking good. And
Yeah, it's yeah they've actually had a huge development too. But yeah, I love them. I love
mm-hmm.
it's interesting. Like the music that I listen to, really like it all depends on where I'm at in my life
Yeah,
mentally, and like my mindset and stuff like that. And then like Pup, when I was in some dark times, I was like, morbid stuff was my shit.
yeah,
So 80
yeah,
like
they're perfect.
80/20 is my running record, and
I'm glad
there's
it's your running record and not your dark place record because a
yeah.
lot of those raw records are dark place
Yeah,
records to me.
there could be opportunities where I'm a little bummed. I'm like, I'm gonna throw the dopamines on
Yeah.
and listen to some stuff, but that's
What
that.
else are you fucking with? Like what other shit you listening to? So I heard Pup and what else?
So I've been listening to this band called Arm's Length. I actually
Heard of them, but I haven't heard them.
I saw them a while ago in like the Milwaukee area. They opened for Heart Attack Man, which I really like Heart Attack Man a lot too. They're like they're fun. They're great. Um, But they're like, yeah, that's like I said. I'm listening to sad boy shit. Like they kind of got some sad stuff, and I don't know. It's probably stuff that I would have made fun of back in the day when I was when
Don't
I
you
was
love that?
younger. Yeah, and now I'm just like,
Yeah.
I actually really like this. Like it's pretty good. I listen to Hot Mulligan a lot too, which
Really?
I'm really surprised by that.
I am too, but I mean Hot Mulligan's kind of off my radar anyway in terms of what I gravitate toward. But yeah, I mean they're good.
Yeah, there you go. And then I've been listening to Bad Religion a lot too, which isn't really surprising.
I
But
refound Bad Religion. I was never a huge fan, but of course I know every song. I was the same way with Rancid. I'm like, I'm not biggest Rancid guy, but I know every fucking song.
right.
Like Bad Religion's the same way, but my wife and I were bumping Process of Belief like every like at least once a week for like a whole summer last year.
Nice. Mine's been New Maps of Hell as of late.
Oh yeah, that
Which
was the later record, like
yeah,
in the 2000s, like mid 2000s.
yeah,
I
it's
don't think
pretty
I've
solid.
listened to that
It's
cover
it's
to cover, but
it's pretty good. I like it, but I try to expand my horizons, but I always, especially like if I'm driving a long ways or on a run or something, like I gotta be playing something that I know is gonna keep me zoned
yes,
out and or just like a good enough tune. I throw some Limp Bizkit on every once in a while.
why
Just
wouldn't you?
they're
I haven't
fucking
listened.
they're
I
fun.
like the resurgence that they're having. I mean, I listened to significant $3 Bill, y'all, Significant Other, and
Yeah,
Chocolate Starfish were albums I listened to when I was younger. That I will at least say that I admit that I listened to, but
yeah,
their resurgence has made it very easy to be like, yeah, that shit was good. Like instead of being like, yeah, I used to listen to that, I'm like, you know what? I listened to it because it was good, and I thought it was good, and I still believe
right.
that, even though I don't really listen to them that much anymore.
I've
Overall.
made an effort to kind of just say like I don't care what other people think, what other people say about the music I listen to because um if I like it, I like it. Like you said Taylor Swift, I like some Taylor Swift as well.
I love
She
Taylor
writes her own
Swift.
shit, which is awesome, and she's like retaking all her stuff too, which
Yeah,
is
it's super fucking cool. Yeah, I mean, one of her songs is also inspired the Doctor, actually, lyrically. So, I even dropped a Taylor Swift line at the end of that song,
did you really? Which one
as a
is it?
goof. Yeah, there's a song called The Last Great American Dynasty. It's on Folklore.
Okay.
And I didn't really listen to that record when it came out as much 'cause it was kind of sad, and I was really sad around that time. So I
Mhm.
didn't really listen to it. Lover was the record that fucking got me out of my funk.
Yeah.
But the
Nice.
song Last Great American Dynasty, that song just plucked out of that record is in my mind one of the best lyrical like arrangements ever. I love that song. It's such a good story. The story like the story and the lyrics, everything are so good. And one of the repeating lines in the song is I had a marvelous time ruining everything, and then it moves to the line I had a marvelous time moving in everything. You have to listen to the song and read the lyrics to
Yeah,
kind
I'll
of get it. But
take a
at the
look.
end of the Doctor, the last line is we had a marvelous time ruining everything. I took it straight from that fucking song.
Oh,
The
nice.
cadence and everything, like the way it sang and all that shit.
That
Fucking
so
love that song.
when you released the Doctor, you kind of released it as a kind of a dual single
Yeah.
release for Heaven's Sake Part 2, and then it flows right into the Doctor.
Yeah.
Is that was obviously intentional because of the flow
Yeah.
of it?
It was Josh's idea to like actually tie them together as a single track. We probably could have just released it as both songs together at once, but they go in order of each other, and they both lyrically share there's some lyrics that are shared between both songs, and the whole suite, I guess, for lack of a better term, those two
Mhm.
songs together are kind of about the same thing. So that's why we did that. Those songs are forever married.
Yeah, and it's a good marriage. I like
Yeah,
I like it.
I love that. Those are my two favorite songs on the record, at least from how they came to be and all that other shit. Like those are those two songs are a lot of fun to play live.
Yeah, they're great to listen to. My favorite song off 80/20 kind of shifts. I would at first it was for Heaven's Sake Part 2 and into the Doctor. Now I've been really like bumping to The Other Room lately. I was like
Hell yeah.
that's a really
I should say that's probably my favorite song on the record.
yeah, the whole thing is absolutely amazing. You got
Thanks.
something else planned as far as records, or are you gonna kind of put it on pause, play
No,
some shows?
I don't want to say no on plans on records or recording or anything because I mean, personally, I've got probably 6 or 7 songs like already since we like right after we got done recording. A friend of mine called me up and was like, "We should do a band that's like sounds like the Spits," and I'm like, "Okay." And he was like,
Nice.
"I wanted to say that on the heels of you getting out of the studio," and then I wrote 20 songs in like 30 days, and then interweaved in that are like 6 or 7 I would say dopamine style songs that
Nice.
are just done. And we've been goofing about putting out like an EP or something.
Mm.
And then I we've jammed out. Ugh, I just said jammed out. We played a couple. We had a couple practices where we were just messing around with some stuff. So we have some cell phone recordings of a few of us playing together, which doesn't happen as often. I think the next thing that we do, I think I want it to be a more collaborative effort between the four of us. Like because
Mhm.
the last 2 records, it's just been mostly me in a silo, just like crafting all these songs and having a fucking blast doing it. But I also love, pulling all this shit together as a group, and trying to, even when I write in a silo, try to do it in a way that at least leaves some room for everyone to kind of do their own thing or make suggestions or recommendations, change things around. But
Mhm.
once it's already kind of there and I bring it to the table, it really doesn't change a whole lot. And I think I'd like to go back to spending more time together and writing shit together.
Hell yeah, that's awesome, dude. And I thank you again for doing this, hopping
Fuck
on.
yeah.
I can say I've interviewed half the Dopamines now, which is nice.
We need to get Michael on here and John Weiner if he's available, and Evan, our new bass player, who's awesome.
Okay, so John Weiner's no longer.
Oh yeah, he's gone.
That's what I thought. I saw the picture and I was, I don't want to make assumptions here, but
No, yeah,
um,
no, he very ceremoniously, we knew he was leaving. Even when we
okay,
recorded the record, we knew he was gone. Not to get into that now, but
right.
it was something that we knew was happening even when we went to go record 80/20. So we knew that that was going to be his last record and all that. And
Yeah,
so
shit happens.
hell yeah, life
But
happens. You gotta do what you gotta do.
absolutely. Well, I'll see you. I'll see you on Friday. I'll be
I know.
at the show. I'm pumped.
Yep,
Uh,
we need to throw 2 or 5 or 10 back
Fuck
together.
yeah, man.
Once we pull up, I'll let you know when we're there. I'll let you know when we pull up.
Yeah. Shoot me a message. I think part of our plan is we're gonna hit up the brewery across the street from
Oh,
High
perfect.
Noon. It's called Vintage. It's a cool place.
Yeah, I'll be there.
The dude from Husker Du sometimes goes there, I think.
Oh, that's what's up.
Yeah. So hell yeah, man. Show at High Noon Saloon. So if you're in the Madison area on Friday, June 13th, you should go, because it's going to be a great show, a great assortment of bands.
Yeah, I'm stoked. So stoked.
Hell yeah, man. Well, how can people keep up with the Dopamines, keep up with you?
I
All
think
that stuff.
Instagram's the only thing that we're ever active on, and I don't even know how active we're on that. But I don't know. Just go to Spotify, listen to some shit, see some flagrant shit we say on Instagram every once in a while. That's about it.
Absolutely. And that's, if that doesn't sum up the band, I don't know what
Yeah.
does. So,
Yeah.
all right, man. Well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Drew. It was awesome. Thanks for having me.